Fall 2022 was filled with various anime, but for the Isekai genre, the Eminence in the Shadow was the OG that had people curious. The standout of the series is Cid Kagenou and how he brings forth a very different kind of vibe as a protagonist. We're talking about how he masterfully plays different roles, both as a mysterious mastermind known as Shadow and Cid Kagenou, your typical background mob character. How can the story's main focus and a side character successfully juggle both roles in perfect harmony? You're about to find out in this video. Firstly, let's do a little background check. Who exactly is Cid? Before Reincarnation, Cid was Minoru Kagenou, an average high schooler by appearance, but is an unhinged boy obsessed with reaching the highest pinnacle of strength. For most children, their fantasies revolve around becoming heroes or villains. However, all Cid wants is to be a force in the shadows, strong enough to change the world while remaining shrouded in the darkness of society. He truly aspired to be an eminence lurking in the shadows, except for one big problem. You can't live your fantasies in real life, especially if you want to stop a force of mass destruction like a nuclear bomb. Luckily, good old Truck-kun came along to grant his wish. Reborn into a new world, Cid wastes no time establishing himself as an ordinary background character while wreaking havoc in the darkness. Upon discovering magic, the missing piece he lacked in real life, he could fully tap into his lifelong ambition. In this new world, Cid finally stood on the path of becoming truly eminent. So how does Cid, with the most generic characteristics with no remarkable traits, become the leader of a massive criminal organization known as the Shadow Garden? It all starts with his immense knowledge of strategy and tactics passed over from his previous life. From a young age, Cid made it a habit of stealing from bandits and practicing newfound moves on his unfortunate victims. During one of his operations, he discovers a demon-possessed blob among his loot. Then after throwing all sorts of magic at it, it turns out that underneath that demon was an elven girl that was cursed and unaware of her surroundings. Seizing the moment, Cid crafted a made-up narrative of how the world came to be and that her enemies were the cult of Diablos. During his improvised storytelling, this is where Shadow's identity as a revolutionary leader comes to fruition. After fabricating this story, he enlists the elf as Alpha, the first recruit of his on-the-spot formed Shadow Garden organization, tasked with fighting against Diablos and its followers. In a turn of events, Cid, with the help of his first recruit, Alpha, expanded to a vast network of members, with Shadow Garden actually coming into existence. As Cid pursues his first objective, he also strives to obtain his other goal of living an exceedingly ordinary life as a minor side character. When Cid resumes his life as a student at Midgar Academy, he decides to become a mob character. If you're not overly familiar with this term, think of them as non-playable characters or NPCs in a video game. NPCs blend into their surroundings, and Cid strives for this obscurity. While this seems easily achievable, it's more complex than it sounds. With Cid's experience from his previous life and adequate preparation, he sets up a plan on how to achieve a perfectly mundane life as a mob character. Here are some of the great lengths Cid goes to achieve his goal of living a mob character life. One thing's for sure, he doesn't hold back. Starting with his appearance, Cid has successfully disguised himself as an ordinary student, as a D-lister, contrary to an elite student like his prodigy sister. He also maintains a very low profile in terms of his studies and has no special skills. Then you have Cid's bucket list of cliché acts that will induct him into the Mob Character Hall of Fame, starting with a cringe fest of a confession. Doing anything for money. And getting defeated in a single hit by a girl. But he doesn't stop there. During the school invasion, he even stops his heart from beating for 10 whole minutes. To act out his mob character role convincingly, with the over-the-top devotion to acting as an NPC, Cid deserves the crown of the king of mob characters. But again, it doesn't stop with him. Cid also goes to great effort into selecting the people he hangs around. He makes friends out of the most bottom-of-the-pile students in his class. And not only did he decide to blend in with them, but Cid also took pleasure in savoring the insignificance of being in their presence by hanging out with the perfect background characters, Skell and Poe. His already low popularity only continues to plummet. From the story so far, it's as if Cid has convinced himself he's not the story's protagonist. His long-cherished dream of being an eminence in the shadow is finally in the palm of his hands, and he completely nails this dream in two folds, as a revolutionary leader and an NPC. The irony irony, however, is that Cid enjoys flexing a bit too much when it comes to his mob character life. He often gets carried away with the details, but that's all a part of what makes Cid a perfectly well-executed mob character. So how does Cid Kagenou set himself up as a revolutionary leader and a mob character? Even before his reincarnation, Cid was obsessed with attaining inhuman strength. After training his body vigorously on a fateful encounter with an ex-soldier, he quickly recognized that his physical strength alone wouldn't be enough to fulfill his ambition. But by being reborn in a world with magical energy, his obsession with magic began. This new world led him down a pathway of learning powerful spells and making use of his slime superpower to go along with his combat abilities. During his ventures as Lord Shadow, Cid has proven his physical strength countless times, such as his fight with Zenon Griffey of the noble class, and in the Holy Realm, we see him fighting zombies without using his powers. It even led to Aurora proclaiming him the strongest without magic and calling him a gorilla. Then shortly afterwards, we see him struggle to pull out a legendary sword. But in actuality, he was so strong that the sword was already about to shatter from his grip alone. Situations like this are particularly amusing as he goes the extra mile to avoid taking on a heroic role. He goes as far as letting himself get stabbed on multiple occasions and labeling others as the protagonist. It's precisely this attribute that makes Cid Kagenou so uniquely special as an Isekai character. Now, he wouldn't be able to pull off being such a powerful leader and a weakling at the same time if it wasn't for his cleverness. Like most Isekai protagonists, many of Cid's accomplishments happen by luck or with the help of his Shadow Garden members. However, Cid's cleverness takes center stage when it comes to being a mob character. As a brilliant person with a high IQ, he actually chooses to live a carefree life, knowingly living in the shadows and not standing out. But on the flip side, when he dons on his black robe, it's a slightly different ballgame. He demonstrates his intelligence in a variety of ways, with some noteworthy mentions being, like when he deduced the assistant principal was a cult leader purely by recognizing his walking pattern and stance. Then when he invents the signature slime suits for his Shadow Garden members to wear, inspired by his slime superpower. Additionally, to maintain his mob persona and dodge suspicion, he ingeniously creates a distraction when Cid is unexpectedly summoned to fight in the goddess's trial. And of course, to lead a double life successfully and remain undetected, you must possess an extraordinary level of cleverness and cunningness. But yes, we get it. He's a smart guy. Now let's not forget the most crucial piece you need to become a remarkable Isekai hero. That is his insane magical ability. So far in the series, Cid Kagenou is the most powerful character yet. Apart from overwhelming magic, it also has a unique appeal with its vibrant purple glow. But aside from battles, Cid also develops unusual ways of using his magic, like when he sticks to the ceiling to hide from his sister or pulls off his self-proclaimed mob fu. When it comes to losing battles on purpose, his heart-stopping shenanigans were only possible with his delicate control of magic. On the flip side, as Shadow, he rarely uses his full strength, despite his abundance of magical power. But when he does decide to unleash it, the result is a devastating force comparable to an atomic bomb. With his catchphrase, every fight he's been in so far has always been too easy for him, though sending an underlying message that his potential is unmatched. He's even capable of using other powerful spells, such as the barrier arts and magic missile. But despite his massive potential, he definitely holds back his true power to coincide with his NPC persona. There have been a couple of instances where Cid would rather get stabbed than use his powers. Now that's a dedication to role-playing, and like many overpowered main characters, it's only fitting that he also has incredible swordsmanship. From a young age, Cid believed in mastering the basics to the utmost level rather than flashy displays that leaves a gap in one's movements. He can easily showcase this with his swordplay against his sister at 10 years old, but he chooses to let her win to coincide with his mob character. As Shadow, however, he quickly overpowers Zenon, a nobleman known as the sword's art paragon, with his weaponry skills. Here, even Alexia, with her perfectly honed techniques, admits his swordplay is beyond excellent and has gone into the realms of the transcending. Undeniably, his exceptional combat capabilities are why he's so widely respected by a league of influential females in the Shadow Garden. These aren't his only attributes though. As to why he's well respected, you'd be surprised at how his carefree attitude works so well with his double life. We'll give you the rundown of what we mean by this. First, his predictions and all-knowingness. Predicting the cult of Diablo's existence and their intentions is one of the shocking surprises in the series. This coincidence is why he comes off as all-knowing to his followers. Then he also has instances where he helped the operation of the Shadow Garden move forward by mere coincidence, gaining more respect and recognition from his comrades. To add awe to his all-knowingness, he shares random trivial knowledge from the real world, such as how chocolate is made or excerpts from books, and passes them off as wisdom of the shadows. All of these anecdotes resulted in his associates giving him more credit for his wealth of knowledge, so it's no surprise he's well respected in the series. Then to add to this enigma of a person, it bodes the question, how exactly does he remain undetected with all of these outstanding qualities? Although not intentional, Cid leaves little to be known about him. His mysteriousness applies to both his identities and leaves it all to the presumptions of others. As he generally goes with the flow, it appears to work in his favor, such as when Gamma assumes Cid made his presence due to the killer situation. The overall mysteriousness that he gives off leaves people in awe and even makes them curious. Even as viewers, his unusual actions are why we continue to be intrigued by him, as he tends to be unpredictable and always keeps us guessing. It can be challenging being Cid Kagenou though. His daily life consists of constantly juggling his double identities and the need to keep up his facade of a dull NPC character. Despite that, Cid Kagenou is one of the most powerful characters in Shadow Garden and will no doubt remain that way. He continues to remain mysterious yet intriguing throughout the series. By devoting his entire being to living his dream life, Cid has set a high bar for playing dual characters. No one has played a mob character role so in-depth that they endured pain, brutality, humiliation, and the urge to flex when pulling these acts off. By embodying the background character role and the leader of the Shadow Garden, Cid becomes the perfect leader who continues to lead his followers to victory at night while simultaneously achieving his wildest fantasies of being a background character. We hope you enjoyed this video about Cid Kagenou and his intricate double life, and if you want to keep up with similar content, check out this video here. Thanks for watching!